you ever found yourself endlessly scrolling through Zillow or Redfin at 1 in the morning, caught in a cycle of hope and despair? You see the beautiful kitchens, the green backyards, the promise of a life that feels stable and real. But then you look at the price tags, and a wave of nausea hits you. You feel the crushing weight of what might be the single biggest financial decision of your entire life, and you are terrified of getting it wrong. For generations, we have been fed a single powerful story. Renting is just throwing your money away. Real wealth is built through homeownership. Your parents tell you this. Your friends tell you this. Every real estate agent on the planet screams it from the rooftops. It has become an unquestionable truth, the cornerstone of the American dream. But what if I told you that for millions of people, this dream is actually a financial nightmare in disguise? What if the most common financial advice in the country is a trap designed to keep you broke? Most people think the debate is simple: a mortgage payment versus a rent check. They are wrong. They are not seeing the full picture. They are not seeing the hidden costs, the invisible traps, and the mathematical realities that are never mentioned in the glossy brochures or the HGTV shows. They are comparing one number to another, when in reality, they should be comparing a life of freedom to a life of servitude. My name is John. This is the Penny Plan, and today we are going to pull back the curtain on the rent versus buy debate. I am not going to give you the sanitized, real estate agent approved version. I am going to show you the hidden costs, the psychological warfare, and the brutal math that separates the dream of homeownership from the reality of being house poor. Before we dive into the numbers, we have to identify the enemy. The enemy is not your landlord. The enemy is not the person who bought a house. The enemy is a multi-trillion-dollar marketing machine that has spent the last 70 years convincing you that your self-worth is tied to your address. This machine is made up of banks who make trillions in interest from mortgages. It is made up of real estate companies who make billions in commissions. It is made up of home improvement stores, furniture companies, and an entire media ecosystem that sells the fantasy of the perfect home. They are not selling you a house. They are selling you an identity. They have created a narrative where renting is for transient, irresponsible young people, and buying is for mature, successful adults who have their lives together. This creates an immense social pressure. If you are 35 and still renting, you feel like you have failed. You feel like you are behind your peers. So what do? You rush into the biggest purchase of your life, driven by fear and social anxiety, not by sound financial logic. This pressure makes you vulnerable. It makes you ignore the red flags. You see a house you love, and your emotional brain takes over. You start picturing your kids playing in the backyard. You imagine hosting Thanksgiving dinner. The real estate agent knows this. They are trained to sell you the feeling, not the asset. They will tell you things like, you have to get in now before prices go up even more, creating a sense of urgency and FOMO, fear of missing out. The result is that millions of people buy a house they cannot truly afford. They drain their entire life savings for a down payment, leaving them with zero emergency fund. They stretch their budget to the absolute limit to make the monthly payment, leaving no room for investing, saving for retirement, or even enjoying their life. They have the picket fence, but they are prisoners behind it, chained to a 30-year mortgage and a job they can never quit. The system is designed to get you to sign on the dotted line. They pre-approve you for a loan amount that is mathematically insane, an amount that would guarantee you are broke for the rest of your life. They know that once you are in the system, you are a customer for life. You will pay them interest for 30 years. You will buy their insurance, You will furnish the house with their credit cards. They have captured you. This is the enemy we are fighting. It is a system that profits from your financial illiteracy and emotional vulnerability. Now, let's get into the math. I am going to break this down into the hidden costs of buying and the hidden benefits of renting, because this is where the real story is told. When you are considering buying a house, you probably look at the PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. But PITI is just the tip of the iceberg. The real cost of a home is buried beneath the surface. This is the silent killer. Your house is a machine that is constantly breaking. The roof leaks, the water heater explodes, the air conditioner dies in the middle of July. When you rent, you call the landlord. When you own, you call your savings account. A good rule of thumb is the 1% rule. You should expect to spend, on average, 1% of your home's value on maintenance every single year. If you buy a $500,000 house, that is $5,000 a year, or over $400 a month that you need to budget for repairs. And that is just the average. A new roof can cost $15,000. A new HVAC system can cost $10,000. Most new homeowners are completely unprepared for this. This is the payment that never ends. Even after you pay off your mortgage, you will be paying property taxes to the local government for the rest of your life. And they almost always go up. If your home's value increases, your tax bill increases. In some high-tax states, property taxes on a modest home can be $10,000 a year or more. That is a permanent $800 monthly bill you have to pay just for the privilege of owning your land. If you do not put 20% down when you buy a house, the bank will force you to buy insurance that protects them, not you. This is PMI. It typically costs between 0.5 to 1% of the loan amount per year. On a $400,000 loan, that could be an extra $2,000 to $4,000 a year, or $300 a month, for absolutely no benefit to you. It is a penalty for not having enough cash. Buying and selling a house is incredibly expensive. When you buy, you have closing costs, loan origination fees, appraisal fees, title insurance, which can be 2 to 5% of the purchase price. On a $500,000 house, that is $10,000 to $25,000 you just light on fire to get the keys. But the real pain comes when you sell. The standard real estate agent commission is 5 to 6% of the sale price. If you sell that same house for $600,000, you are paying $30,000 to $36,000 in commissions. These transaction costs make it very difficult to build equity if you move within 5 to 7 years. When you rent, some utilities might be included. When you own, you pay for everything: water, sewer, trash, electricity, gas. And if you buy in a planned community or a condo, you will have Homeowners Association, HOA fees. These can be hundreds of dollars a month, and they can go up at any time for any reason. The HOA tells you what color you can paint your door and what kind of flowers you can plant. You own the house, but they own you. When you add all this up, the true monthly cost of owning a home is often 30 to 40% higher than just the mortgage payment. This is the number you need to be comparing to your rent, not the Zillow estimate. Now, let's flip the script. We are told renting is throwing money away. Let's reframe that. Renting is not throwing money away. Renting is buying something valuable. You are buying flexibility. When you rent, you can move. If you get a job offer in a different city, you can go. If your neighborhood goes downhill, you can leave. If you have a noisy neighbor, you can wait out your lease and escape. When you own a home, you are anchored. Moving is a massive, expensive, and stressful process. This mobility is a form of insurance against life's uncertainties. When you rent, your biggest housing expense is fixed for the term of your lease. You know that for the next 12 months, your housing cost will be exactly X dollars. You will not get a surprise $10,000 bill for a new roof. This predictability makes budgeting incredibly simple and reduces financial anxiety. This is the most important financial concept that most people ignore. Let's say you buy a $500,000 house with a $100,000 down payment, 20%. That $100,000 is now tied up in an illiquid asset. It is not working for you. It is just sitting there, hopefully appreciating slowly. What if instead you rented a comparable place and invested that $100,000 in the stock market? Let's say you invest it in a simple S&P 500 index fund, which has historically returned about 10% per year on average. In 10 years, that $100,000 could grow to over $259,000. In 20 years, it could be over $672,000. The renter who invests the difference between their rent and the true cost of homeownership can often end up with a higher net worth than the homeowner. The homeowner's equity is tracked in their house. The renter's wealth is liquid, diversified, and compounding at a much faster rate. Renting is not throwing money away if you are using the money you save to buy income-producing assets. The biggest argument for homeownership is that a mortgage is a forced savings account. Every month, you pay down your principal and build equity. This is true, but it is misleading. In the early years of a 30-year mortgage, the vast majority of your payment is going to interest. It is going straight into the bank's pocket. You are barely building any equity. It can take 5 to 7 years before your principal payments start to make a meaningful dent. Furthermore, that savings is not accessible. If you have a medical emergency, you cannot just go to the bank and withdraw $20,000 of your home equity. You have to apply for a home equity line of credit, HELOC, which is another loan with its own fees and interest. Your equity is a prisoner in your house. Cash in an investment account is a soldier you can deploy at any time. So how do you decide? I am not saying you should never buy a house. I am saying you should only buy a house when it is a clear financial victory, not an emotional decision. Here is the checklist I would use. Rule number 1, the 5-year rule. If you are not at least 90% certain you will stay in one place for 5 years or more, do not buy. The transaction costs of buying and selling will likely eat up any appreciation you gain in that short time frame. Rule number 2, the 20% down payment. If you cannot put 20% down, you are not ready. This proves you have the discipline to save, and it helps you avoid the PMI penalty. If you have to drain your entire life savings to hit 20%, you are still not ready. You need the down payment and a separate emergency fund. Rule number 3, the 28-36 rule. Your total housing payment, PITI, HOA, PMI, etc., should not exceed 28% of your gross monthly income. And your total debt payments, housing, car, student loans, should not exceed 36%. Banks will approve you for much higher ratios because they don't care if you are broke. You have to protect yourself. If you can meet all 3 of these criteria, and you want the stability and the lifestyle benefits of owning a home, then buying can be a great decision. But if you'll have to bend the rules, or stretch your budget, or tell yourself, we'll make it work, you are walking into a trap. Now, here is the twist that changes the entire conversation. The real trap is not the rent versus buy decision. The real trap is buying too much house too soon. Let's say you follow all the rules. You have your down payment. You plan to stay for 10 years. You qualify for the loan. So you go out and buy the biggest, nicest house the bank will approve you for. You buy the 4-bedroom house, even though you don't have kids yet, because you want to grow into it. You have just made a 30-year mistake. You have locked yourself into a high monthly payment that will dictate every decision you make for the next 3 decades. You can't take the lower paying but more fulfilling job. You can't start the business you have been dreaming of. You can't take a year off to travel. You have to feed the mortgage monster every single month. The American dream of the big house with the white picket fence is often the death of actual dreams. It becomes a golden cage. You spend all your time working to pay for a house you are never in because you are always working. The smarter move is to buy the smallest house you can be happy in. Buy the 2-bedroom condo instead of the 4-bedroom McMansion. By keeping your housing costs low, you free up hundreds or even thousands of dollars a month. That is money that can be invested. That is money that can buy your freedom. The goal is not to have the biggest house on the block. The goal is to have the biggest investment account. One is a liability that consumes your money. The other is an asset that generates it. Do not let society's definition of success trick you into a 30-year prison sentence. The decision to rent or buy is deeply personal. There is no one-size-fits-all answer, but it should be a decision based on math, not on marketing or social pressure. Do not let anyone tell you that renting is throwing money away. It is not. It is purchasing flexibility, predictability, and opportunity. In many cases, a disciplined renter who invests wisely will end up far wealthier than an over-leveraged homeowner. Your home is not an investment. An investment is something that puts money in your pocket. Your primary residence takes money out of your pocket every single month. It is a place to live. It is a utility, and you should seek to get that utility for the lowest possible cost so you can free up capital to buy real investments. The goal is not homeownership. The goal is financial independence. A house can be a tool to help you achieve that goal, or it can be the anchor that sinks you to the bottom of the ocean. The choice is yours. Run the numbers, be honest with yourself, and choose the path that leads to freedom, not the path that leads to a bigger cage. If this breakdown helped you see the rent versus buy debate more clearly, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and like this video so we can get this message to more people who are facing this stressful decision. I'll see you in the next one.